Coming up on Ag Week TV, what does the future hold for the ethanol industry? North Dakota farmland prices continue to rise. A South Dakota rancher burns the midnight oil as calving season continues. And a Minnesota family has kept their roots strong by farming the same land for nearly 150 years. Welcome to Ag Week TV. I'm Emily Beal. Nearly half of all the corn grown in the United States goes to producing ethanol. The industry can produce more than 17 billion gallons each year, but the process generates a large amount of carbon dioxide. So is spending billions of dollars to build thousands of miles of carbon capture pipelines the answer? This month, our Ag Week special report is the future of biofuels. We take a closer look at capturing carbon from ethanol plants.
Well, today, ethanol is blended in about every gallon of gasoline in the United States.
In fact, more than 98% of gas sold in the U.S. contains ethanol, but most of it is 10%, or E10. Jeff Cooper is the president and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association. He wants to see higher blends, especially E15. But those ethanol plants produce a lot of carbon. Cooper says the industry is working on reaching net zero, a carbon neutral future.
Today's ethanol is already 50% better than gasoline in terms of its carbon emissions. So we're already halfway to net zero. But to get the rest of the way, carbon capture and sequestration would be a big step, an important step in further reducing the carbon intensity of corn ethanol.
Cooper acknowledges that there is some resistance to carbon pipelines, but he says that there are other options being studied to lower the carbon footprint. Brendan Jordan, Vice President of Transportation Fuels at the Great Plains Institute, says while the focus is on carbon capture for ethanol, there are many other things that can be done.
One of the things that we focus on as well is looking upstream. So what are the emissions on the farm associated with producing biofuel feedstock? So there's great opportunities there for reduced tillage, conservation tillage, green ammonia. There's a lot of great strategies there that can lower ethanol emissions.
Some carbon pipeline opponents, including landowners in the path, fear they will be stuck with hazardous material flowing through their land. Isaac Emery is a consultant who has studied the most efficient way to deal with carbon emissions from ag production. He says that there are several ways to reduce carbon at ethanol plants, such as using renewable electricity at the plant. But he says that carbon capture is important to reach net zero.
It's definitely not the easiest thing they can do, but it is one of the most effective if it works.
You can read much more in the next Ag Week magazine or at agweek.com. The Biden administration wants half of new car sales to be electric by 2030 as part of its Build Back Better program. Right now, only 6% of the nearly 14 million vehicles sold last year were electric. If the goal is reached, it could have a big impact on the gas and ethanol industry. But rather than fighting to move the electric vehicles, a spokesman for the American Ethanol Coalition says they can work together. The fuel can play an important role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and it's already widely available.
Those who want the environment to be better, those who want to reduce carbon pollution, that the best way to do it quickly is here right now.
The University of Minnesota is studying the possibility of boosting the range of electric vehicles with a secondary ethanol-powered engine. High production costs didn't stand in the way of a profitable year for farmers in 2022. High farm income was the driving force behind North Dakota land values sharply rising in 2023. NDSU Extension State Ag Finance Specialist Brian Parman says the average value per acre in North Dakota for 2023 is $2,863 per acre. He warns with the value of land going up, rent prices will be going along up with it.
Rents are starting to go up considerably, and I think that that's probably going to continue for the next few years. So we're going to see cash rents start catching up with the increases in land prices.
The biggest increase in land values was the East Central and Southern Red River Valley regions, with both increasing over 20%. Spring hasn't really felt like spring this year for producers in South Dakota, as snow continued to fly well into April. With all the snow on the ground, planting season will be delayed for many producers.
Equipment that would normally be in the field is under snowbanks at Todd Hatton's farm in Goodwin.
And every year that's our goal, to get in and get some spring wheat planted by April 11th. And most years we've gotten that accomplished, and some years we've had it all in and planted by April 11th, our spring wheat. That's definitely not going to happen this year.
This year, Hatton's farm got over 55 inches of snow, the most they've had since 1997.
That year we were late on planting, but we did get everything planted. So I'm hopeful and positively thinking that we will get things planted.
Last year, Hatton faced issues with moisture flooding out his fields, causing him to have to plant some sections of field multiple times, which is something he fears could happen again this year.
Yeah, very worried about that. We had to make several trips to fields that areas were able to be planted, but then we had to come back and plant them again and again in some circumstances, which messes it up for the spraying and the harvest and everything.
But in other areas of the state, conditions before this spring were extremely dry, and this moisture will help set producers up for success.
Yeah, I think the soil moisture that we're going to get from this spring, from snowmelt and precipitation in general, can carry us quite a bit into the summer season and hopefully protect us from at least extreme drought for the beginning to middle part of the growing season of the summer.
Preparing the possible planting challenges and working to get into the field as soon as possible.
With the knowledge of that we've accumulated, that early planting really makes a difference. This spring is looking like that's going to make it tough, and it makes you anxious to want to get it in as early as you can, but you just can't push it in those wet conditions.
In a normal year, Hatton usually likes to get the spring wheat planted by April 11th, corn planted by May 1st, and the soybeans in by the first couple days of May. Up next on Ag Week TV, a South Dakota rancher stays up calving well after the sun goes down.
Risk management is not just for the grains. Livestock producers, did you know you too can protect the price for your production? Livestock Risk Protection, or LRP for short, is a great tool to help you protect the price of your calves. Cattle producers can also protect their pasture and hayland from lack of rainfall with Pasture Rangeland Forage, or PRF insurance. This is a very affordable way to help producers in times of below average rainfall. Call the Risk Management Specialist, Martinson Ag Risk Management.
Since the inception of Vatterstadt, the spirit of innovation has led the company. We push the limits, providing innovative and reliable seeding and tillage solutions that simplify everyday life for farmers. We continue to reimagine the capabilities and technology behind farm machinery, providing customers with a perfect emergence while maximizing their yields. We look forward to growing together.
There's no easy button, no guarantees, or promises of a good year. This is farming. It's unpredictable and demanding, with long days and sometimes stressful nights. It's weathering the storms and coming out successful. Farming isn't for everyone. We thank those who make it their life, because it is for everyone.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
You can get the field results you want in varying conditions with the flexibility of the Summers VRT Renegade, featuring on-the-fly blade angle adjustment from 0 to 19 degrees. And if you want the simplicity of a Super Coulter with the ability to move a little dirt, you'll love the all-new Summers Super Coulter Samurai. Go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about North America's broadest line of tillage equipment and other products from North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing.
Farming and ranching is no 9-to-5 job. And for cattle producers, calving season means being ready for anything, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This means they are up at all hours of the night, monitoring cows and checking for new calves.
It may be the end of the workday, but the nighttime calving shift is just beginning here at Foose Farms.
Night checks kind of start at last light. We check and make sure nothing's going on. If there is, you give them about an hour and check again. But after last light, we go wait until about 2 a.m. when we check again, and we'll go through and walk through them if they're packed in a tight area, or we'll drive the four-wheeler around. And we just try and look at every cow, make sure no one's calving at 2.
Not only are they checking for new calves, but they're making sure no cows are having complications.
The biggest worry is calving issues, whether it be too large a calf for the cow to have on her own, or the peculiar ones like the backwards, the upside downs, sometimes anything that you might need to pull, or even get a vet out in a real severe case.
So far, they haven't had any complications this year, but regular checks are still important.
But it's been pretty non-eventful at night, which is nice, not having to stay up all night long to drag calves in the sled in.
The cows are checked once again in the morning at around 6:30. Then, around 8 a.m., the new calves are checked on and cared for.
Check out everyone that was new, make sure they got up and sucked, and put a tag and vaccinate them.
Doing what they can to make sure every cow and calf are safe and healthy.
Every calf you save is a big influence on your profit for the year.
The Fooses have 134 cows to calve this year and expect to be done around the beginning of June. There are some new members in a Sioux Falls Ag classroom. Their sow Dolly has farrowed, welcoming 14 new piglets. Pipestein, a large pork management company, brought the sow into the classroom as a way to get students at the Career and Technical Education Academy interested in the swine industry and about learning about the opportunities. Students were able to be there throughout the entire farrowing process.
I started this farrowing project in my former school in Chester and did 2 years there, came to the CTE Academy, and this was one thing that we really wanted to give our students an opportunity to be a part of. Very few, if any, of our students have any ties to production ag, and so I said that this is a great way for them to see what it's like to actually be part of the swine industry.
Giving the hands-on learning experiences are key to any ag class, but especially in classrooms where students aren't exposed to agriculture on a regular basis.
It helps us learn, Mr. Jensen can sit and he can talk to us and he can show us slides, but it's a lot different than actually doing it. It gives you a learning curve, I would say, over just having the class.
The students plan to name the piglets after their favorite Dolly Parton songs. The sow and piglets will stay in the classroom for around a month and then will be adopted out to a student who's interested in using the pig for their FFA career development project. Ahead on Ag Week TV, these future chefs are coming up with some winning dishes using soy.
Go beyond the headlines with an Ag Week membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to Ag Week and Ag Week TV.
When the water's high and your yields are low, 'cause your fields have no place for water to flow. Just one call takes care of it all. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage. The experts in
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
We farm up by Drayton, North Dakota. We farm about 2,500 acres, and I'm a fifth-generation farmer. It started out essentially as a vanity thing along the highway, just to try and not make it look so bad when people drove by. The effects we had there, and talking with Jim and Darcy at ECO, we realized that it had options in different crops and different things, so we ended up using it now in sugar beets. We use it in beans, and this year we're going to try it in wheat. The first couple of years in those small spots, it was just generally we could see they were better, and it looked better, so that was what we went by. But now that we've been actually able to measure it in furrow and in some different plots in the sugar beets and beans, the rate of return has been anywhere from 1 or 2 to spots that's made a difference of probably 4 to 5 times on the rate of return, which is, exceptional. For us river guys there that deal with flooding issues along highways, but pretty much anywhere that has salt issues, which is, a lot of different acres up here and a lot of different crops too. So we've definitely had interest from other growers, and I think that there's probably an application on almost every farm.
Built in North Dakota and delivered across the Midwest, every Pinky home is a custom home, designed for your family, built by ours. And with our on-site lumberyard and generations of experience, we can help build the home of your dreams without breaking your budget. Build something that lasts. Build with Pinky Homes. Get to know us and see all of your customization options at pinkyhomes.com.
Ag Week weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
Has spring finally sprung? Here's John with our AgriWeather Outlook.
April marches on, and you know what? The sunshine finally will win out. Even those cold, snow-covered areas of the northern plains are finally seeing the snow melting away, and we're really getting spring underway across the northern part of the country. The rest of the world has been in spring for a while. Rain showers are going to become a little more spotty as we go into the second half of April. I'm not seeing quite the widespread onslaught of stormy weather, but there certainly will be some April showers to talk about, and it is conceivable, in fact, it's likely that in a couple of areas of the country, the colder spots, there will be at least a rain-snow mix possible a couple of times, particularly as we get into the second week. I see a little bit of a cool down in some parts of the north, but it's definitely more of a spring weather pattern. Jet stream still has a few lobes in it, implying the ups and downs. The cold spots are cold, the warm spots are warm. We start off with some chilly weather in the northern plains. That won't last, though. That's actually going to be fading into just cool. The western half of the Dakotas, where there isn't much snow, if any, is going to be recovering nicely. The eastern Dakotas still melting snow, will be melting snow. It just won't be a terribly warm week because of that. Still fairly cold across Canada, and we're not seeing a lot of really hot weather. And by hot, this time of year, I'm talking about consistent 80s and some 90s thrown into that. The warm is 70s with maybe a stray 80. That's in the south. The Rockies, of course, are going to be cold this week, and the ambulatory up and down pattern of the jet stream this week, as we get toward the weekend, is going to begin to flatten out a bit. There will be a fairly deep low pressure trough over the northeast part of the continent, and that's going to keep New England fairly cool and eastern Canada very cold. The Rockies will continue to be fairly cool, although with this ridge of high pressure in place, there will be some warming up there. We're not going to see a lot of really hot weather in the south because of this phase, this lobe in the jet stream. The hot places will be Florida, Texas, and Arizona, Southern California, the usual spots. As we get toward that second week now, we're still seeing fairly cool weather. By that I mean a lot of 40s and 50s in the northern plains. But once you get south of there, some pretty nice spring weather. We've had some hot temperatures in the central plains and western part of the Midwest. The next couple of weeks will not be quite so warm. And with this cooler weather, there will be a slight chance of some snow. There might even be some snow in Minnesota, Wisconsin here later on toward the parts of this week. There will likely be some precipitation in the Pacific Northwest, which will mostly be noticed as rain, except in the mountain areas and the Gulf Coast areas through parts of Florida. Looks like some thunder showers in Florida. That's great news because this can be a fairly dry time of year in Florida, and the Everglades and some parts of central Florida can kind of catch on fire. It looks like we'll be a little more rainy for that down there. There will be a chance of some rain-snow mix in the northern plains toward the latter part of April. That's not unusual with the rain.
I'm Peter Bosch. I've been working with Gateway Building Systems for a little over 20 years now. I chose Gateway Building Systems to build my shop because I wanted a building that could both be used for my equipment and as a place for my family to hang out and do things. I would advise anybody that's thinking about working with Gateway to go in and talk to the guys there, tell them your plans and your future dreams, and let them design something for you.
How'd they find me out here? Huh. Current resident. They don't even know who I am. Fifth downtown location. Why would I care?
Find a bank that cares about what you really need. Cornerstone Bank.
We farm up by Drayton, North Dakota. It's a family farm. We have about 2,500 acres and we grow sugar beets, wheat, and soybeans. So we use the Nano CS, which is in with our calcine and our regular starter in sugar beets. And then throughout the year when we're spraying Roundup, we use the Nano Pro to help with the efficacy of that. And later in the year when we're doing Cercospora spraying, we add in the Nano K to help try and boost the sugars a little bit. On the beans, we've been using the Nano Pack, the Nano Stress, and the Nano Pro with the Roundup there as well. And then this is the first year we're going to be trying their Nano K or Nano N product, which is a nitrogen one. So it's kind of the next wave and stuff that farming's always been on the cutting edge on some of these things, whether it's the GPS or any of these technologies. Now when we're getting into the chemical and the soil side of it, this nano technology that these guys have and able to get it into the plant faster, moving faster. This is kind of the next wave I think that's going to be coming here, and these guys are on the leading edge of it for sure.
Don't miss out on the equipment you'll need next season. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer, has early order discounts on its full line of powerful, efficient, new Case IH equipment, including tractors, combines, and self-propelled sprayers. Get a great deal and ensure that you have the latest in productivity and technology. Supply chains are tight. Contact your Titan Machinery dealership today and find out how much you can save by ordering ahead. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH equipment experts.
Ag Week TV Soy Insight, brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council.
Future chefs in the culinary program at the North Dakota State College of Science in Wahpeton have developed some award-winning recipes using soy products. Rose Dunn gives you a taste in this month's Soy Insight.
These budding chefs have cooked up some award-winning dishes made with soy products for a contest sponsored by the North Dakota Soybean Council. Grace Nadler took first place honors in the dessert category for her sweet treat, soy ice cream topped with caramel, soy nut butter, and chocolate-covered soy nuts.
I have never cooked with soy before this. I would use soy sauce, but that's about it. It's a nice protein alternative.
Grace Stumpf won first place in the appetizer category for her miso ginger salmon with edamame pineapple salsa and honey soy glaze.
And I kind of had this dish in my mind since we first started talking about the soy foods, and I wanted to incorporate as much soy as I could. So I did, and salmon's a good base protein for basically everything because it just sucks in flavor.
Amber Gayu whipped up a chocolate tofu mousse-filled croissant and some edamame hummus. She likes the idea of making a dessert and an appetizer healthier with soy.
Working with healthy foods and helping others to be inspired to do healthy foods definitely is always a win.
And it's not just for bragging rights. The contest carried some scholarship money for the student winners. These students also spent several days last fall visiting a farm where soybeans are grown, a food-grade soybean plant in Castleton, and watching tofu being made at the Northern Crops Institute. Culinary arts instructor Benjamin Whitmore says his students had a great time learning about the benefits of soy.
Really the best of both worlds, getting the health benefits, but also having that great flavor that our students are really striving for when they get out into industry.
In Wahpeton, North Dakota, this is Rose Dunn for Ag Week.
For these recipes and more of the students' recipes, go to northdakotasoybean.org and search soy on your plate. Up next on Ag Week TV, a Minnesota family nurtures the same soil for over a century.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Brimmer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
When the water's high and your yields are low, 'cause your fields have no place for water to flow, just one call takes care of it all. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage. The experts in the field.
Farming is more than just work. It's your way of life. Protecting your family's legacy is our way of life. Through challenges and successes, we understand your family's insurance needs. With every turn of the wheel, for every investment, through every season, generation after generation, Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
The team at North Star Ag is committed to quality and committed to you. We're not just a full-service dealer, we're farmers too, so we know you need the best machinery and services that'll keep you going all season long. We have the largest equipment inventory in the upper Midwest with a well-equipped parts and service department. So whether you need machinery tomorrow or parts today, stop in and experience what North Star Ag can offer on our website at northstar-ag.com or give us a call at 701-361-4790.
The Crary Revolution Ditcher is the new standard for surface water management. The Revolution Ditcher leaves a smooth finished 5-foot flat bottom cut and cuts up to 10 inches in one pass. Throw dirt in either direction, up to 165 feet. Now with the hydraulic cross auger to break up dirt and keep you working faster. Check out the Revolution Ditcher at Crary.com.
America in the 1880s looked a lot different than it does today, but on a small farm near Rochester, Minnesota, one thing hasn't changed. The O'Neill family has been tending that same soil for almost 150 years. The farm is now run by Pat O'Neill and his parents, Dennis and Bridget. Pat O'Neill has fond memories of growing up on a farm that has such a rich history.
Some of the memories were my great Uncle Ed coming out when we were renting the farm and I was just a kid. Him coming out and just overseeing things and telling stories of the farm and this field and this happened and your grandpa did this, and it just kind of a look back into history, how they used to do things.
O'Neill says his oldest son has shown interest in taking over the farm after he graduates high school. Stories you'll only see on agweek.com and in Ag Week magazine this week. A federal judge in North Dakota has halted the new WOTUS law in 24 more states. It's already on hold in both Texas and Idaho. A biofuels leader recounts the history of the industry since the late 1970s. We appreciate you watching Ag Week TV. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up on all your ag news. Have a wonderful week, everyone.